All right, we'll call to order. This is a special meeting of the LEC. The time is now 7:03 p.m. Greg, are you going to act as secretary again today?
Yeah, I can do that. Would you like me to take roll, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
All right, Mike Saliba is present. First vice chair is vacant, I assume now. Mary Bazuma,
Here.
Daniel Ziemba, not present. Treasurer is vacant. Ryan Roberts is not present. Andrew Hall,
Present.
Jordan Martin. I do not see Jordan. Rick Thalen is not here. Dave Canny.
I'll be here in a second.
All right. Yes, asterisk. Raphael,
Here.
Brian Ellison,
Here.
John Elgus,
Here.
Greg Sempel is here. Kyle McCauley,
Here.
Bruce Jackways is not here. Daniel Mule Miller is not here. Jamie Van Alstine
Present.
and Scotty Bowman. I do not see him present. And I will record the names of the guests as they pop in. So we have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Since this is a special meeting, we'll just be discussing the items on the email that I sent out to call the meeting. The first of which is our attorney and legal issues.
Mr. Chairman, would you mind just reviewing the items that will be on the agenda today from the email?
Yes.
Just read.
This is regarding our attorney and legal issue, a motion by Dave Canny, 2 motions by Scotty Bowman, and an update to the April 1st convention.
All right.
And like I said, the first of that is our legal issues and our prospective attorney. The committee to find an attorney had a conversation with an attorney earlier today. Would anybody from that conversation like to speak on it? Either Kyle, Andrew, Joe?
I'm happy to speak on it. So we met with Nick. Now I'm going to say his name wrong. Curcio, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Can you spell that for me, Kyle, please?
Yes, Curcio. So Nick is an attorney that was referred to us, and so we met with him. He's done a fair bit of work on the front end, reviewing our documents and also doing a fair bit of background work. He presented to the subcommittee that he believes that our best course of action is to pursue the regaining of our assets, not at least presently through the court system, for the reason that since it's rather early in the process.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Could we? I would recommend that we just keep kind of the discussions high level, and then rather than getting into any what would potentially be legal strategy. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. No. Fair enough. So the discussion with Nick essentially puts us in a position where if we choose to hire him to assist us in retaining our assets, as well as getting the ones that we currently don't have control of, he is going to charge us $225 an hour will be his rate for us to work with him. Also in responding to the current letters, demand letters that we have on the table. He will work with us on those items also at the $225 an hour. In order for us to get his work on our behalf, he is requesting a $5,000 retainer. And a retainer, for those who are unfamiliar, would simply be returned to us if any amounts not used would be returned to us. So he has, I guess I won't dive too deep into this at the moment, but he is providing us a way to be able to make payments to fund that retainer to his firm directly, and he will account for those and refund on a pro rata basis. Which I know there were some open questions about how we would be funding this need, since we're not looking to use party funds for it. So he is providing that ability to us, and I can go into more details if we want. We do have an engagement letter that I received. I forwarded that to you, Mike. Sorry, just before this meeting, though. I was busy this afternoon, so I forwarded it over to you, and the payments can be made by e-check electronically on various forms. He has that ability to receive those payments in that manner. So it looks like a good resource to us. And I would say that in general, most of us on the subcommittee were very impressed by the level of knowledge that he was able to gain in a very short period of time. He doesn't have specific work in this arena, but he does have work in dealing with municipalities. So he's not foreign to political engagements entirely, but he is, but he does have limited exposure and experience in working with inter-party disputes. So given that, we were all very impressed by his level of knowledge in a very short period of time.
Did anybody want to add to that?
I'll just add briefly, kind of to echo a little bit what Kyle said. I was really impressed with how deep he dug into the situation, and he basically fed us without us telling him what our legal strategy was or what we thought it would be. He fed us what basically is the legal strategy that we've kind of been talking about and that I think is in our best interest to pursue. So I would definitely recommend that we engage him.
Okay, and did anybody have any questions? Oh, Kyle, you got your hand up.
Yeah, just one final note that I guess I overlooked it in the some of the details. But by the way, he believes that we have a very good case, and he is very much, I guess you would say, stumped as to how the other side is making their claims. He doesn't understand what kind of arguments they're coming up with and how it is possible to read our bylaws in such a way that would support the assertions that they're making. So, obviously that becomes an important point of contention in the whole process. You could hire an attorney to do, just about anything if you pay him to do it. But it's more than that. He genuinely felt that he didn't see what how their case could have reasonable merit. Everything beyond that really gets into some of the difficulties around the issue more generally. But as far as just on the surface, looking at the bylaws, considering Robert's Rules of Order, looking at the precedents of the issues, he's really stumped as to how they're going to make their case seem reasonable.
John, you have your hand up?
Sorry, I was unmuted.
John.
I was just wondering if the committee finds him trustworthy.
I mean, I would speak for myself, and I would just say that he certainly didn't give any indication of anything other than trustworthiness.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean,
And he
it's hard. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike. You can go ahead.
I was gonna say, he does come by way of a personal recommendation as well.
I would say more so than that, whenever you're dealing with attorneys, the thing you want to watch out for is, are they trying to convince you that they can solve your problem? Or are they able to reasonably lay out both the merits of your situation as well as the potential hurdles and difficulties? And I felt that he was able to do that really nicely. And also, I mean, 220, let me just say this too. One of the things that I think speaks to his trustworthiness is that he was willing to give us a discount off of his normal rate because he is both interested in the topic and in our issue, but B, he also is willing to admit that this is not something that he has, decades of experience with. And so he's willing to say, hey, I need to do my due diligence up front, which he did. B, I still am not the guy that has decades of experience in this. And so I'm willing to give you a discounted rate because I like your case. I find it very interesting. It's something I think I can help with. So on those merits, I would say, yeah, he's definitely trustworthy.
So this is Andrew Hall. So I agree with the board. I think out of all the attorneys we have met and spoke with, that he is definitely the most trustworthy person and actually is interested in our case. The others seem to me to be like, oh, you might want to do this, you might want to do that. I'll take your $50,000 or whatever. They didn't really seem to me like they were actually interested in what we were trying to do. So at this point, if we don't have any more discussion, I'd like the board to move to a vote if possible.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Would anybody like to speak against that motion?
Oh,
Which I took to be a motion.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I somehow missed this. I heard the $5,000 retainer, and I also heard the billable hourly rate. But I wasn't sure if I missed or if there was explanation provided regarding the funding today. Was there discussion about, it seemed like there was, but I missed part of it, funding somehow, if we don't have the $5,000 today, I guess is, what do we do there?
He's taking payments directly from the people who have pledged. Kyle, I think you could probably explain it a little bit better.
Yeah, so he has a system that essentially, obviously, we run into a little bit of hurdle where it is probably in all of our best interests to not, and this is something I recognize that those of you who put our website together have a quote unquote legal defense fund section for that. We may need to talk about that a little bit further because my understanding with how it's presently set up, it may present a little risk. And so I'm not sure that we should maybe do it that way. So what I would recommend is that anyone who wishes to contribute to the cause make payments directly to the attorney. The attorney is going to keep an accounting of the payments. The payments can be made through an online portal, both by direct deposit, e-check, and credit card. And so those payments can be made directly. He will keep an accounting, and any funds that are not used will be returned pro rata. So they'll be returned pro rata to the individuals that contributed. Pro rata, of course, meaning, if you contributed 20% of the total funds and there's money left over, you'll get 20% of the money that's left over. Okay.
Scotty?
Before we
Oh.
close that out, Mike, I would like to hear from Angela, our acting treasurer, as to what that means for our accounting, because we do have a separate fund specifically for this. And I'll leave it at that until Ange can address that.
Angela, did you want to speak to that?
I have to think about it. Oh, hang on a second.
I did that.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have to think about it because the donations that we get do have to be recorded as donations to something, Libertarian Party or, the affiliate which is where they're going now. They're going to the affiliate, not to the main party. I mean, we can certainly do that. We just have to. I mean, the way I understand it is that he's just going to collect the money and then tell us where it came from, type of a thing. Is that how?
Yeah, so if let's say with the funds that you already have, Angela, you have a record of who donated those dollars, I assume.
Yeah.
So if you were to take those dollars and then send them to the attorney, then should there be any dollars left over after he's completed his work on our behalf, he will return that portion, whatever percentage it is of the total payments, he'll return those back to the affiliate. And then if you are then, getting those dollars back to individuals, you would then be responsible from there.
Yeah, I can do that. Just prorate it back. That's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not complicated.
The return is not my concern. It is, number one, the accounting requirements for the donations, which I think Angie, we've already kind of addressed with that fund. And if we send payment from that fund to the attorney, I'm fine with that. The other issue I have with just having our potential donors and telling them to go to this attorney portal and make whatever donations is the fact that we're asking people to send some attorney money instead of the fund. And I think that, I don't know how our members would receive that.
I think if people feel more comfortable sending dollars to the affiliate, then that's what they should do. I personally don't feel comfortable with that. So I'd rather send my particular dollars direct to the attorney. But I don't think there's any reason why we have to tell people which way they do it. They can do it whichever way they feel most comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, and this will be my last statement unless anybody has any questions. I would have to talk to him to make sure that he would be willing to collect the donor information that we will require for people who donate directly to him, as long as he's okay, and I would like, at least me or somebody should have access to, audit his books to see where, make sure that the money that came in matches what he told me came in. But as long as, if he would be willing to talk to me about that, then I don't care. I mean, I can count money no matter where it comes in. That's not a problem.
Brian, is your hand up for something to do with the donation?
Yeah, I guess first, before I think maybe I want to make an amendment, but what is the actual motion that's on the floor right now?
I took it as a motion to hire Nick as our attorney.
Okay, so per the engagement letter?
Yes.
Okay, then I would just like to clarify by amendment that we will use all of the funds that are being held that were earmarked for the Libertarian Party of Michigan Defense Fund. Direct Angela to send those funds to the attorney, and then give the party members the option to, if they want to donate further to the defense fund or directly to the attorney, which I think could be recorded as in-kind donations.
Okay, okay, it's been seconded. Before we get to
Mike,
the,
point, Mike, really quickly, did you say you had the initial motion in your? I just recorded it as, Andrew moves to hire the attorney. Did you have a more formal motion?
Hey, Greg, I'll go ahead and take that as a friendly amendment. If Brian wants to restate the motion in its entirety, that'll work.
Right, can you do that, Brian? I wrote most of it down.
Yeah, so I guess the full motion would be to authorize Mike to sign the engagement letter to engage the attorney on behalf of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. And then with the retainer to be paid via funds from the Libertarian Party of Michigan Defense Fund and additional donations from party members.
What were you wanting to direct Angela to do in the first time you said that?
Well, I don't know that, well, she's the one I think that has those funds for in the Libertarian Defense, or it's in her affiliate's account. It's my understanding. So I don't know that her specifically needs to be addressed in it, but that the funds should come from that, all the donations that were earmarked for that purpose.
so Brian, you took or Andrew, you take the amendment. We'll just make it part of the main motion.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't really make a specifically worded motion, so I'm fine with that. Before we get to that really quick, we got some hands up. Scotty, did you have a question about the main motion or?
Actually, I had a couple things, and they were points of information, I suppose, all. First of all, in the first, I got in on about 7:07. Was there any business discussed other than the matter of the attorney before I logged in?
Nope, this is the first thing.
Okay. Second, have you verified that both Bill Jeleno accounts and both Joe Brungard accounts are who they say they are? Because I noticed there's two of each.
They both have mentioned that they're either using different forms of audio or not able to do everything on one computer. Joe, I can see that you're the real Joe. Can you confirm that you're both Joes?
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. You're not AI. And I don't know how else we could confirm Bill, but
Bill just confirmed via chat.
Okay. All right. And then was there anything else for you, Scotty?
No, Mr. Chair, that's all.
Okay, Raphael, I think you were the next one with your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. The only thing I have to add is if we, in the engagement letter with the attorney, can we put something in there like, in the event of an unfavorable outcome, any monies in these funds that were donated, not spent, go back to the original?
It's in there, Raphael.
Oh, it is. Okay, perfect. Thanks. I just want to make that clear. Thanks.
All right. And then one last, Bill, you have your hand up. Bill?
Okay, sorry about that. I had muted myself. I guess I'm trying to understand, and I had asked on the chat, Kyle made comment that he wasn't comfortable sending it to the party. And I'm just trying to understand what's going on in the sense that if the party's engaging this attorney, the party is paying the attorney. Now, how they raise the funds to do that is a whole other conversation. But I think mechanically, it's not that difficult to simply do what's on the website now, and that is give people a way to make a donation. And frankly, I think part of what I had hoped would come out of this is that the idea of some of the combination packages is to say to people, you can go a la carte all you want, but if you'd like to get this package, we're going to put some of those funds into the legal defense fund. And as long as we make that clear to everyone, then they would be able to make that choice. I think mechanically to ask people to donate directly to an attorney is going to be awfully cumbersome and fairly ineffective. That's just my opinion.
Well, it sounds like how we have the motion, they should have both options. Kyle, your hand's back up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that people are going to have either option, whatever they feel most comfortable with. You know, I have my reasons. I'm not offended by somebody else feeling differently. So I think I think we can easily accommodate either option.
Agreed. I just wondered are you okay telling us what those reasons might be, Kyle? Just, I'm trying to understand.
I responded in your chat, but
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
that's okay. I mean, I want to be careful a little bit, but you know, essentially the idea here is that, you know, although we have a strong case, although we are in the right, although everything looks good, should things not go our way, the less it appears in any sense that we have used party assets to fund our cause on this, I think the better.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, did you have anything? Okay, that being the case, was there anybody else have anything to say for or against this actual motion as it's been now amended? Okay, that case, we'll call to question, and all those in favor of this motion to retain lawyer Nick as amended by Brian, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that passed. I will, I guess we'll take care of that after this. Next up that we mentioned, let me just check here, is first the motion by Dave Canny. Dave, would you like to read us your motion?
Yes, thank you. Okay, I think
Many times.
okay, so
There's an echo.
I will read it. The motion reads, in light of recently discovered evidence of judicial committee bias and conflicts of interest, as well as unethical actions taken by the judicial committee chair in collusion with the appellant, the LEC has determined that the appropriate action to be taken regarding the judicial committee report is to vacate the ruling of the committee, as well as any and all actions taken by the party leadership put in place by that decision.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. There's been a lot of discussion of this previously. Did anybody want to, I didn't see the order the hands came up in. Did anybody want to speak for the motion? Okay, anybody against?
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Dave, is the accompanying evidence or details available or will be appended to this motion in any way?
I think, yeah, I think it should be.
Thank you.
So for the record, Dave, your motion is just that text, but the rest of it is an accompaniment. Should we include that as part of the motion as a supplemental, but not actually having to read it? How do we add that to the motion?
I am open to it being part of the motion, going right through including the evidence, or doing is it including as a side piece as let's talk about it. I'm not sure the best way to go about this.
Mr. Chair, point of information, would a motion be required to add the real question is are we adding the supporting documentation to the meeting minutes? Is that all we're really talking about, Mr. Chair?
Sounds like it.
Yes.
Okay, motion to add the supporting documentation to the meeting minutes, please, Mr. Chair.
I was wondering if it was going to be a part of the motion, because if we're going to send that motion to other people.
Yeah, well, we've already, the main motion has already been moved and seconded. Is there anybody who would like to speak against it, or anybody who would not want to vote for it until we made a separate motion to include the evidence in the addendum? Because otherwise we can just take the vote now and then I'll take a motion to add that to any communication. All right, sounds like everybody's good with that.
Yeah, I've had my hand up.
Oh, sorry,
So
Scott, go
Brian
ahead.
Ellison had
I'd
his
like-
hand first, just also, but it's okay, go ahead.
Well, Brian could go ahead of me if he had his hand up first.
So I'm just looking at this text, and I had some concerns when it was brought up by Dave in the first place, and there's some of the wording I don't like, because it almost alludes to the fact that the JC decision actually had some authority to do some things. So specifically looking at the last sentence where it says that all actions taken by the party leadership put in place by that decision. And I believe it's our contention that their decision didn't do anything except put words on a piece of paper. And so essentially for that reason, I'm hesitant to support this. I absolutely like the sentiment behind it, but I am just maybe being overly cautious in not pigeonholing ourselves into saying something that we ultimately don't mean, and that may impact, I don't know what legal impact it will have, but this wouldn't be the legal strategy that I think we would pursue, is saying that, you know, we're invalidating their decision and the effects that decision made. The argument goes something like their decision was an opinion that had no effect to begin with. So I don't really have a amendment prepared, but I don't know, that's where I'm at with it.
If we were to vote down the motion, would it be in order in this meeting to propose an amended motion? Because I think
Yeah.
we moved and seconded before we really got to talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, I take that. Scotty? Scotty? Okay. Kyle?
Brian, I just edited just the last sentence Just if you could look at it and see if that solves your concern. And Dave, if you want to look at it in the chat and see if it still does what you're hoping to do.
All right. All right,
That
sounds
alleviates
like,
my concerns, yes.
yeah.
And I would consider that a friendly amendment.
So it would be in order then to vote no on this current motion and then submit a new motion with the amended language.
You can just.
Okay.
make a motion just to strike the text and add that.
After it's been seconded?
I feel like I've seen it done that way before, but if we really want it to be.
Point of order, I believe we could just table this. If somebody is going to be drafted, is the issue that we just want to draft some additional language, or what's the reason for wanting to vote it down and then vote something else?
Yes, as amended in the Kyle placed a friendly amendment in the chat. That
I would take the friendly amendment as a main motion because I do believe in friendly amendments. But Brian, to answer your question, just so we could start over would be the reason. And Scotty, you got your physical hand up now.
So real quick, I took it as a friendly amendment and we already seconded and everything. So I don't see why this is any different.
I thought it was in order to go ahead and propose amendments when the main motion is on the floor.
Okay, I'll take it as, would anybody like to make a motion for an official, not friendly or unfriendly amendment? At
I
this
will
time?
motion to amend Dave's motion by substitution per the text Kyle put in the chat.
Can you
Second.
read that?
Yes,
I
give me
can
one
read it
second.
if you'd like,
Okay,
since
yeah,
I'm
like-
secretary. Kyle's motion in chat was, in light of recently discovered evidence of judicial committee bias and conflict of interest, as well as unethical actions taken by the judicial committee's chair in collusion with the appellant, the LEC has determined that the appropriate action to be taken regarding the judicial committee report is to vacate the ruling of the committee as well as any and all actions taken subsequent to the ruling in regards to its recommendation. Did I read that wrong? I may have.
No,
you did.
got it right.
Okay. I still can't copy and paste, so I just took a screen capture of it.
I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Does anybody
Call
feel
the
the need to?
question.
All right. All in favor of this amendment to the original motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Well, the ayes have it, so we'll move to the main motion of adopting it. Scotty? Scotty, your hand's up again.
Yes, I move to amend the motion to include that we include supporting documentation when submitting the statement.
I guess. All right,
I have a point of inquiry.
go ahead.
Joe made mention in the chat that we should, just to be specific, it sounds like like he's just said, put a date of the JC report in question. Just to be super specific as to which JC ruling it is.
Okay. Would that have to be another amendment?
I don't know about
Scotty,
that.
would you like to make
Yes, it
that
would, but you
inclusion
can
of a
handle
date
this.
part of your amendment?
Yeah, just hang on, Mike. Get this one
I
done.
accept it
and
as
you can
part
do
of
the-
my amendment, so you can amend the amendment if the body so approves.
Okay, so we'll take it as Scotty's amendment to add the date of the JC ruling and the additional information.
Can we get that date? I believe it was December 19th.
Sounds right, but I don't know.
Can someone verify that before the meeting is over, so I include it in the minutes? I can find it in email too, I guess.
Okay.
And just for
Anybody else?
clarity, yes, sorry, Mike.
No
I
problem.
think the date needs to be inserted in a very specific place here. And I will send it to you, Greg, for your minutes, but I think it needs the date, once we've got the date.
I ate mine. It was.
Could
December
be-
19th at 9:30 p.m.
So it should go, the date should be inserted after regarding the judicial committee report issued on December 19th is to vacate the ruling, I think is the appropriate place.
2022.
2022, thank you.
Issued on full 19. Oh, it got quiet.
I'm just letting everybody catch up and make sure there's nothing else. Other than that, I would call the question.
So moved.
The
Okay, so-
updated text of the motion is in the chat as well, for your information.
Okay.
I believe, Mr. Chair, point of information, we're about to vote on amending the main motion to include the date as presented by Jamie and to include the supporting documentation as is in Mr. Canny's email, correct?
That is correct. This will be the second amendment. All right, all those in favor of the amendment visible in the chat?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Okay, it is amended. We will now move to the main motion, which is to adopt this motion as has now been amended 2 times. And is there any further discussion on this?
All the question, Mr. Chair?
Okay, all those in favor of adopting this motion as amended, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, that passes. Next up, we have 2 motions from Scotty. Scotty, would you like to speak to the first of your 2 motions?
Yeah, given that I've sent this, you must be the first 2 that I sent in that you're talking about. I
Whichever
have
one you would
had
like.
a couple. Okay, I guess I'll start with this one. And let's read it. Motion that we earnestly contact each signer of the petition and ask if they would sign on to a revocation of the request for a special convention. May I speak to the reasoning?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's in a sense, we invoked bylaws that forced the special convention when we signed on to the special convention. I know we are past 45 days, and I know there is no basis to rescind a petition, but the credibility of the event would be further diminished if all of those asking for it said they changed their minds. And I see no downside except the work of having to contact these people in doing that.
Okay, would anybody like to speak against this in any way?
Hasn't been seconded.
I'll second it, Scotty.
Well, do we have an actual motion, the actual motion language? I'm just not sure exactly what we're doing here.
The motion I have, according to the email, Scotty, is a motion that we earnestly contact each signer of the petition and ask if they would sign on to a revocation of their request for a special convention.
I have a point of inquiry. Who is we?
I would guess the board.
So in understanding this motion, does that mean that we get off the meeting here and all of us need to start making phone calls, or would it be appropriate to designate somebody to do that?
I mean, we could do either or, I suppose. I mean, we all got the petition, out through various ways. I'm sure we could get a revocation out through various ways.
I think it would be appropriate for those who already had been contacted directly by people that they could do a reply back. In those cases, that would take care of a lot of them.
Scotty, the petition was sent to members via various mailing lists initially. I know that certain accesses have been restricted, so we'd have to be specific as to who and how and who would be the sender in that regard.
Dave, I think you had your hand up first.
Yeah, thank you. Scotty, do you have the revocation letter written up? Do we have the wording on do we have the wording on that? On what we'd be asking people to sign?
No, I could write one up. I figure it would just be something to the effect of what the motion says, which would be simply when we contact them, that it would be simply a statement. I hereby revoke my request for a special convention.
I suppose it could just be up to everybody who signed the petition to make their revocation known in their own way. Brian, I think your hand was up following.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with the sentiment of doing this, and I think that if somebody took it upon themselves to as a special project for themselves, and this is something that they wanted to do, I know other members of this board have taken special projects on, and they're trying to do things to validate what we're doing in various ways. But I think that what this does, and especially without it specifying who's going to do this, I'm just opposed to it being an action of this board. So again, the sentiment I think is good, but I won't be supporting this motion. And I think it's unnecessary as well.
May I ask, through the chair, may I ask a question to Brian? I guess it would be too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how would you suggest that we verify the totality of these? Or would there be a collector of the information so that then we would have it as a total amount of information that we could then share and go, look, the people who wanted your special convention or wanted a special convention don't want it anymore. who would be the recipient of that information? Would we send it to the chair? What would be your alternative to that?
Well, I mean, I guess if I was doing it, I would look at the names on the petitions that were signed, contact all of them, ask them if they wanted to revoke their signature on the petition, and then I would just deliver it to the board just like a petition would have been delivered.
Mr. Chair, may I please, I think it's to both of their comments. So I apologize, Scotty, somehow I missed this, but I don't like this action presently as it stands, but I do like the idea of doing something like this. I think the route to take would be if we could get maybe crafted some kind of language that would say something to the effect of, because ultimately we want these letters, I think, to go to Andrew and company, but we wanted to say something like, in light of our new understanding that the previously signed petition is no longer warranted or needed, and in light of the fact that we have been led to believe that there is a group that intends to hold a convention based on this petition, we hereby revoke our signature to that petition and any use of it, or some, I'm just spitballing off the top of my head, but something like that, that basically, I would be willing to sign something like that, that basically tells them, look, don't hold a convention because of me, because your convention is nonsense. That's essentially what it needs to say in more, appropriate terms.
Dave?
I'll call the question.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we'll just call the question. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed?
No.
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 All right, that motion fails, but I would still like to encourage Scotty to take this on as a grassroots effort.
And
Scotty, you had another
Kyle,
motion.
could you get in touch with me?
Yeah, no problem. I'll do that, Scott.
Okay, Jamie, did you have a question?
Not a question, but I guess some information. Scotty, this would probably be better as a petition, and if you and Kyle want to work on it, you can include me to help in crafting it.
All right.
Good, because actually, I
All right, Scotty, you had sent another email about another motion.
I think he's having internet.
yes, and actually, there was more than one other motion, so I guess I'm going to look and pick my favorite. I guess this one was in the same email. I'm going to go ahead and read this one straight up then. No, actually, hold on. I'm sorry.
Scotty,
okay,
I have the
actually,
text of your
first-
second proposal if you'd like me to read it.
He had others. Let him pick one.
Well, 2 were submitted today, 2 were submitted within the appropriate time frame. So
Were the ones submitted today the ones you don't want me to read?
well, that would be 4
Oh, yeah, those
proposals.
the two that you had submitted at the time that I called this meeting.
Oh, okay, so those two, all right, then I'll read this one. And Greg can correct me if this is not the other one he sees. I move that we issue a complaint with the Michigan Attorney Grievance Commission and the Michigan Bar Association as the Libertarian Party Executive Committee, Inc., against Eric Duster for falsely claiming to represent us and sending intimidating letters to members of this board without authorization.
All right, would you like to speak to that in any way, or would anybody like to speak against?
I think
First
it
dibs.
speaks for itself.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, I might be mistaken here, but I don't think that Doster was claiming to represent us. I think he was representing the LNC. And not no, he was not. He was
He definitely said LPM.
okay. I stand corrected.
Kyle?
I guess for some reason I would rather, the only people I've heard comment on this outside of groups who are, the only people I've heard comment on this who are attorneys, don't think this is a great idea. And without hearing from somebody as to, you know, that there's a lot of ways this could go. Assuming Doster actually is, let's say hypothetically, the other side of the equation, the probability that we just piss him off is pretty good. Or he might laugh. I don't know. But it seems pretty unlikely that this is going to accomplish anything. And it feels presently a little reckless because I don't necessarily feel confident that we would have any sort of case.
Brian?
Yeah, I kind of along the same lines as what Kyle is saying. I agree that he doesn't have a right to represent the LPM, but that becomes a question of fact for a judge or jury to determine. And I think that even though we disagree with the case that the other side is making, there's a case being made there, and he is representing that case. And so I don't see that as some type of misconduct on an attorney. And I think that, again, with the other actions that we're considering, you know, filing a grievance against the opposing attorney is probably not the greatest idea. And I would not vote to approve this unless our attorney advised us that this was the right thing to do.
Scotty, I'll let you add one more thing since you didn't add anything to it at first.
Thank you. I guess I'm waited for the rebuttal. The whole reason, what I'd like to put it this way, put yourself, let's say that, and think, you know, there is this idea of corporation being a person. So if you received a letter saying, you know, that was by an attorney who's identifying himself as a representative of a person who is you, who has your name, your address, your birth date, and accusing you of identity theft and asking you to stop using your name and claiming that you are that person, would you not want to take similar action? Or would you say, well, you know, he's got a case here, and the reason I'm even putting it that way is we're lending credibility to the notion that perhaps we really aren't the Libertarian Party of Michigan, maybe the other group is, by not acting indignant and upset that someone is falsely misrepresenting us.
I mean, point of information, I find it better to act indignant on an individual basis than on a collective basis.
I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, well.
Call the question.
All right, all those in favor of this motion? Okay. All right, all those opposed?
No.
No. No.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, and
Point Point of
that
order,
brings- Who said that?
Danny. Mike, would it be proper to introduce a related motion to the one we voted on tonight? To move to send that to the to notify the LNC of that vote? And our decision to vacate the ruling?
Oh, I don't think we necessarily need a motion for that. I'm going to be in communication on a pretty regular basis with the LNC. I'll let them know about it.
Jolly good.
All right. That brings us to an update on the April 1st convention. I brought Bill here to speak to that. Bill?
All right, can you hear me now? I've been on mute, just enjoying the conversation here. Well, I think that first and foremost, I want to just make sure that I'm operating within parameters. I think I inadvertently stepped on Leah's toes, and I didn't mean to do that because I didn't know that there was any kind of a permanent convention committee. But certainly in contact with Joe and Mike and others, I signed the agreement for Hilton in good faith, thinking I'm running this convention. I've yet to hear that from the LEC. It would be really handy to hear that. And I'll tell you why. Over the past several days, there's been some banter. And again, I apologize that I was unable to attend on Friday. But on Tuesday, I sent a link over with some ideas and some pricing. And I didn't get any feedback, but the template that I asked, and I should explain, go back a couple steps for everybody who wasn't involved. When we started talking about this, we said we need to get a website up. And
hey, Bill, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just point of information, Mr. Chair. Do we in fact have a convention committee currently active?
I think we haven't really ever had anything formal, and it was something we talked about at our last meeting, that we have to sort of dispense with a few formalities at the pace and that we're going and the deadlines involved. I don't really mind anybody stepping up to do a thing at this point, to do a thing.
It looks like Greg has some info. Yeah.
We do in fact have a formal convention committee. Leah is chair, Jamie's on it. We picked it back in December, and that has never been rescinded.
I see.
Oh,
John
okay, I see what you're saying.
Algus as well.
Is Bill Gelano even a member of that committee?
No.
Okay. Okay, it sounds like we need to make some adjustments.
I move to add Bill into that committee chair or committee and appoint him as chair.
Yeah, point of order. There is a motion via email. Scotty seconded, I believe, asking to make Bill Gelano chair of that committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, well, that does feel pertinent at this.
Can I just speak to this, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the whole purpose of this is recognizing that you guys have a lot on your plate. I mean, as a group. And although certainly the LEC broadly approves of everything, which is why I sent what I did last Tuesday, my whole purpose of getting involved in this was just to make it so that you didn't have to worry about it. I'd like to say that my experience is pretty well known, and this is one of those moments where, just please get out of the way and let me do my thing. I'd like to help this be super successful, and you know, it's great that there's a committee, and I did not know that in any way until a few days ago. You know, some people have offered to help, and that's great. I approached Greg separately, not knowing he was. Are you part of that committee, Greg?
I'm not actually.
Oh, you're not. Yeah. Okay. See, I didn't even know who was on until, and I only know of one other person at this point. Leah sent an email to Joe and basically saying, you know, she's got some stresses right now and would rather not do this. And I said, okay, you know, I wasn't trying to step on anybody's toes. I just, darn it, I want to get this done, and I know how to do it. And that's all it really comes down
to. Bill, just a question, if I may. Do you have any objections to working with any who are already on that committee who would like to continue being a part of it?
I have no objections to anyone. I do have some very strong opinions about some of the work that's been done, and I don't mind talking about that now if that's helpful.
Not necessarily.
Please do.
Oh, okay. All right. He's on the committee, so I'm going to let her say that you should.
No, as I said, I have a previous relationship with Raphael. He runs the website for my company. You know, it's not a mystery to anybody that, you know, Raphael and I have worked together on my campaign back when I ran for governor, and he ran a great website for me. So with that in mind, and when we started talking 10 days ago or so, I said, hey, is there any way we could get a website up? And Raphael found that they had the .net site available, which was great. The first thing I did is I talked to Andrew Hall, who's also on the call tonight, and he's also a former convention manager. And I said, you know, this has been a point of contention in the past, you know, just getting an easy website for people to use to sign up. And so Raphael tasked Sharon, I don't even know Sharon's last name, I've worked with her for a couple of years, to do this. And she produced the site that I forwarded last Tuesday. And that's kind of where we are. Those suggestions were made to ease some of these other matters too. The financial piece, I think, is very easy to manage. There's a report that comes out of the system. If, for example, we had packaged one to have people donate to the Legal Defense Fund, we can sort that out. It's not difficult. On the other hand, if someone, you know, financially does not want to do that, there was a means to do that. But make no mistake, part of my mission in wanting to do this is to help make sure the LEC has the resources it needs. And it would be very disappointing to me if we didn't do that. I didn't want to get into this just to break even. And I'd like to make sure that that website looks appropriate for us to go out I was talking to the chair in Virginia over the weekend. These are people who are 100% with us. Well, I'm going to give them a chance to put their money where their mouth is. And we want to make sure the website promotes that idea. And that's really the nut of it.
All right. Well, I think
the rest is pretty mechanical, to be honest. We're talking about a skinny down convention. I think everybody knows that. We're not doing a banquet, just a lunch. And I'm organizing some sponsorship for some of the other stuff like coffee in the morning. And, you know, the bottom line is we want to make this pleasant and easy for people to come and attend and participate, have their voice heard, and hopefully go home thinking that we're making some moves.
Point of inquiry, Bill. What does the .org, the official LPM website, have for their convention information?
Well, they have a splash page on the, if you go to the site, where they'd have news announcements. But one of the reasons I want to get this done and get it done now is they don't have a way to sign up yet. Now, understand that a lot of the affiliates have not selected delegates yet, but I can tell you that one of the bigger ones in the state, the LPWM, is selecting on Saturday. And so we want to be ready, I guess is all it comes down to. And I was really impressed with Sharon's work. I was really hoping that we just go forward with that. And as far as the pricing is concerned, I mean, we're always open to that discussion.
Point of information, Mr. Chair, is there a motion that's been seconded on the floor that is to appoint Bill Gelano as the chair of the convention committee at this time?
It has been moved and seconded, and I was going to ask Greg to remind me if we voted on that or not.
We're still in discussion.
Okay.
May I call the question, Mr. Chair?
Second.
Yeah. So all those in favor of the motion to add Bill to the committee, which, sorry, I forgot already existed. Let's say
Yeah,
aye.
not just to add him, but also he's the chair, right? That's the full motion on the table.
Appoint him to the committee as chair.
Aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, thank you, Bill, and thank you, everybody else. I guess that was part of the problem, was the convention committee sort of began with a different mission, and a lot's changed since then. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else that we needed to take care of.
I'm trying to
Dave?
find a list of who's on the convention committee currently.
I can
Jamie,
tell you who was originally on the committee. It was
Okay.
myself, John Elgis, Trevor Stepp, Laney. Oh, why am I blanking on Laney's last name? There's only two Laneys. I believe it's the Laney in Genesee.
Laney
Jamie,
Nix.
I believe so.
when you get a chance, you just email
Her name
it
is
over to
Laney
me.
Nix.
Thank
No, Daily, I think.
Leah,
Greg's,
Leah Daly was the chair, but we had Laney and I believe Mike.
Mike
Her boyfriend,
Farber.
as well. And that was the committee.
Was Brian on the committee?
I'm sorry, and Brian Ellison. Yes, thank you.
But I retired.
All
This is
right.
the Hotel California, Brian.
Yeah, if you could
And I
just
see
email the name.
Jason coming in the chat.
Jason Barton, correct.
Jamie, do you have an email with all those email addresses in it you could forward to Bill? I don't know if I have everyone's.
I should have them all, yes.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I believe Jason has left the party, but I will include him anyway.
Yeah, it already seems like a really long time ago.
It was.
We got hands up. I go first, Dave.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I'm not sure if I heard right with Bill and Jamie, but do we actually have two separate websites right now that have been built? One that Jamie's been working on and one that Bill
No,
and Sharon have put up?
no, we have one page. It's michiganlp.net that Raphael is hosting for us. Sharon has created the templates for us for the pages, and I have populated everything. Sharon has created one form which has been modified and can be modified depending on what the committee decides the packages will be.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right, Scotty.
Yeah, I brought this up at, I think, our first post JC meeting or whatever. I think it was on the 31st. and I don't know where it went, and I'm trying to remember somebody, I guess it's sort of a point of information or inquiry. Did we allocate any funds?
Your dial-up's freezing up there, Scotty.
Yeah, we got to the word allocate funds.
Put it in chat
Or
if you can.
allow for the convention people to have funds available in order to send out a mailing?
No, we never voted on that.
Do we need to really? I don't think we would. I mean, vote on it, not necessarily. I think actually a mailing.
Would it be a matter of just directing party?
Yeah.
Scotty, you keep accidentally muting yourself.
No, I'm asking, so would it then just be a matter of the them requesting, talking to the chair, and it being a matter of carrying out regular party business to do a mailing to the membership regarding their convention?
I think so.
Mr.
Yeah, I
Chair.
don't see why not. Yeah, Andrew.
I wanted to move to add Joe to the subcommittee for.
I think you went out to the subcommittee for the attorney.
Correct. Sorry. Yep.
Okay.
Wait, is
Brian,
Joe
did you have
Brungart not already part of the committee?
No, that's actually what I had my hand up for. Yeah, and the reason why we wanted to do that is Joe was on the committee as an effect of him being chair. With his resignation from the LEC, we just wanted to formalize his appointment as a member on that committee.
Second.
All right. Scotty.
Call the question.
Okay. All those in favor.
I'm just looking for clarity.
Scotty, I heard you sounded like you said you were asking for clarification, but we're having communication issues with you. But I think
Yeah, I was.
the answer to, okay, the answer I think would probably be we have a subcommittee that's been speaking to attorneys, and now we'll continue communicating with the attorney that we selected tonight. Joe was on that by virtue of being chair, but since he put in his resignation, we want to add him back to it so he can stay on the committee, even though he's no longer chair. Although I should point out, according to Andrew's parliamentarian and attorneys, Joe is still chair until he gives his resignation at a convention.
Yeah. So
yes.
That's part of my clarification here is my understanding is his resignation was driven by not having time to get involved in this stuff, and we're asking him to get involved in stuff. So I'm not quite sure what the point of the resignation was.
He can zone out if he wants to.
You want me to address the question?
Go ahead.
I have time to do some stuff.
All right, he has time to do some stuff.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just to kind of answer Scotty's question too. Joe's been obviously pretty involved in being a point of information, especially when it came to raising funds initially. He's kept tabs on that. So it would be helpful to keep him involved, even just to say, hey, Joe, do we have money or what? So it would be useful to keep him in the committee.
Just for continuity. All right. The question was already called. All those committee, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, that passes. Welcome back, Joe. Anybody else got anything else? This was a special meeting. I think we got everything taken care of that was on the email when I called it. Greg?
Can we just talk about some things to put on the agenda for a regular meeting?
Go ahead.
Put a credentials committee. Sorry, we'll need to name a credentials committee to the convention.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Request for information.
Andrew?
So did we put up our registration on the website yet, or are we just hypothetically talking about that and pricing at this point?
That is available.
No, are we
Oh,
talking about the
whatever.
convention? The website is up. The convention registration is not published yet because we have to finalize packages and offerings, etc.
I have also a request for information. I want to be clear that the committee, the convention committee, does not need another action from this board in order to make that go live. Is that correct?
I would say so.
Okay, good.
And then request for information again. Are we going with the form Bill submitted for our registration?
The form is just sitting there waiting for final details. It's on the page, it's just sitting there. It's got some information already populated. The committee just needs to finalize what those packages and offerings will be.
By packages, you mean pricing?
Yes.
And also perks. I don't think the perks are nailed down, right, Janie?
Well, there are no perks except for the launch. So it's what will the structure of funding be, I guess.
Not even a drink ticket? Come on.
Didn't somebody have a motion for surplus Mises wallets?
Made from duct tape,
I'm gonna get a Wu-Tang Clan wallet.
Scotty, you
I
have your
think
hand
we're
up?
at the. Sorry.
Oh, who's?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when will it be appropriate for the other motions they sent in? When will we have a chance to discuss those?
We have a regular meeting on the 27th.
Okay, thank you.
This is
Motion to
Larry. I
adjourn.
would just like to remind everyone to protect your neck.
Love the shirt. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 All right. You post. All right. We are adjourned. Hey, Mary.
Yeah.